In this lesson, I'm going to show you a superb feature in Maxwell Render which is unique to it, and I'm pretty sure that no other render engine has this capability. Now, as you can see, we will use a model of a very nice sports car. And before we proceed to explaining Multilight, which is a little feature hidden here, let's actually create a few simple materials using Wizard that will really demonstrate to you how easy it is to create visualizations with Maxwell. So let's create a new material, and as you can see here we have a car paint preset material. So if I click on that guy, I will get the option to choose a color, and let's use maybe this one. And of course you can choose if that color will be metallic. So let's go all the way to 100. I'm not really sure if that specific car has that metallic paint, but that's not really important. So let's create a new material, and as you can see, we instantly get a material which is ready to use. So we have 4 layers here. So we have a base layer which contains the color. It's a little bit rough. We have flakes which have a little bit different color or in the same spectrum, which are also a little bit rough. We have a standard top coat which we used on our plastic materials also, and we have a grazing which utilizes this R2 value. So feel free to experiment with all these materials and see how they are constructed. Now we actually apply this to the body of this car. So we want to a complete texturing. We will just create a few materials. So we need glass, so we will use this architectural glass solution which renders much faster. And in this case, where we really don't need superb glass features, it will be more than enough. So you can choose a color, you can choose the reflectivity, and let's maybe go with 20%, and we will choose clear type of that glass. Hit OK, we will create a new one. Here it is, also ready to use. Simple as that. So let's use it where we find it to be convenient. So glass, and let's also copy that to this lights. I think that will be good enough, and let's create both tire and this rim material. So nothing fancy, really simple materials. And for rims we will use, let's even go with aluminum, so maybe a little bit rough, so maybe 10, so it's not perfectly polished. Let's hit create a new one, and that will be good. And let's apply this where we see fit, and let's go with metal parts like this, and let's create a simple tire material. So we will create a new material, and let's go with black, maybe not perfectly black, maybe a derivation like this, and we will use this as a rough base, and we'll create a new layer, so something like this, and we will create a standard coating layer, but we won't use a completely shiny surface. So let's go maybe with 20, so it will appear a little bit like rubber, so maybe even 30. And let's say that this is okay, so we don't waste any more time. So I will apply this guy to tires, and that's it as far as the materials go. And certainly if you invest more time in material creation, you can get even better materials, but for this demonstration it is not really necessary. Let's also collapse this guy so it's not in the way and not distracting us in any way. And here comes the fun part. If I enable my fire preview, let's see what do we get in terms of render. So we get this. It's okay, nothing spectacular. It is too dim, the lighting is not really interesting, and even though materials are fine, this is not really something that you would be proud with. So let me stop this. And if you take a look here, each and every of this light is a standard light. And you can see that by looking at this value. So 40 watts for each and every light. So those are simple default lights which I placed in a scene like this as I see fit. Now, if you would want to enhance this render in a standard render engine, you would experiment with lights by coloring them and adding certain values and test rendering and so on and so forth. But in Maxwell, you really don't have to do that. You can enable this multilight, so both intensity and color, and by enabling color, you are also enabling intensity. And this doesn't look like much at this moment, but let me show you what it means once I hit this production render. So let's do just that, and naturally Maxwell render application will open and it will start the render, and you will notice a few differences here. So this is here only if you use multilight, and we have this preview window. And if you by any chance don't have that preview window, you can find it here. So that's this guy here. Now let me leave this scene to render for 15 or 20 minutes, and I will be right back and we will explore this multilight. And here we are after 20 minutes, and we reached sampling level of 15 point something. Now this multilight is absolutely fantastic feature. It gives you an ability to change light colors and intensities during and after the render. And it really sounds too good to be true. So for example, if you are unsatisfied with the render, you can simply increase the intensity of certain light. So take a look at this preview. If you hit refresh, it will take everything into account and basically give you a new scene. This is a magnificent feature in Maxwell. Of course, you can change other lights, you can add colors to those lights. So let me show you how this changes here. And you always use this preview window as a guide. So maybe I will want to introduce this color in my render. So a slight hint of rosy color, and let's hit refresh and we will get a brand new image. Same goes for every light. So you can really have fun with this, and it's absolutely magnificent creative tool. So maybe something like this, and you basically now have a completely new render. Now these little guys, this S and M, so these little guys are for soloing and muting certain lights. So if you don't like a certain light, you can simply turn it off. For example, we can turn this light off completely. And by following the same logic, you can simply solo the light source. It will be the sole light source in your scene. So as you can see, this fill light is now only one taken into account. So let's refresh that to see how that looks, and you get a completely different type of illumination. So that is really, really great. And if that is not enough to you, you can actually change the sensitivity, that ISO value and shutter value after the render. This gives you an insight how powerful Maxwell is. So for example, we can solo this light, or even let's go with without this light, and maybe change this a little bit and refresh. So depending on how many lights you have in a scene, everything will be taken into account. And this also works with physical sky and sky dome and HDRI based lightning. So absolutely superb. Now, once you are done, you can simply save the scene or save the image, or you can even resume the rendering. So that is absolutely superb if you ask me, and you can have enormous amounts of fun with this multi-light feature.